We talk to people every day who are moving to or considering relocating to the Portland metro area, and a lot of people express concerns about things that they read on the internet or see in the news. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why I've stayed in Portland and I never plan on leaving, and all that starts now. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Paul Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from Portland, Oregon. And if this is your first time to the channel living in Oregon and you want to get more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. We've helped so many people relocate to Oregon and move to the Portland metro area, and as real estate professionals, we love to help with that process. So if that's you, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. Either way, we would love to help with your move to the Portland area. So it's no secret that, Portland does have a little bit of a bad reputation. Portland does tend to get bashed on quite a bit, or be a little bit of a punching bag when it comes to some of the issues that do plague a lot of major cities around the country, in particular on the West Coast, when you look at a lot of the issues that we have here in the Portland area, in particular in Portland proper. And so I think dispelling some of those ideas and looking at what's actually going on is really important, especially for people who really love Oregon. They really love Portland for all of the great things that it has to offer, but they do have concerns about, again, things they hear about, things they've been told about, etc. So again, the purpose here is to not necessarily dispel myths, but give you my perspective as a native Portlander, as somebody who's lived here my whole life. I lived near downtown Portland, lived near the city, and really what my perspective is on a lot of these issues, and maybe go into some detail as to why I've never left here. My real only bias here is that I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, just about 10 minutes from downtown Portland, and I still have a ton of friends and family who live in the area, and these are factors that I think would contribute to anybody staying put and putting up with some of the issues that plague Portland today. And although Oregon continues to be a migratory state, it's one of the top states in terms of population growth around the country, Portland proper, Multnomah County specifically, has seen people leaving in droves. There has been a little bit of an exodus when you look at recent years, especially since 2020. Now, I'm not here to make any kind of political statement. That's definitely not what this channel is about. But a lot of people who are considering moving to the Portland area or are moving here for work or otherwise will no doubt have seen a lot of what's in the news, a lot of things that people are saying about Portland. They'll see the Twitter commentary and just the overall sentiment about what Portland is like. And I'll be honest, this bad reputation, which in a lot of ways really is warranted, has been heartbreaking to watch. It's been difficult to see the mismanagement of some more current events, but also kind of large scale issues that have been getting worse and worse over the years. Most notably homelessness, discarded syringes, even flat out open drug use, boarded up businesses, shuttered doors. These things are really happening, and it has been heartbreaking to see. Now, there's two things that I think are critical before we go any further. A lot of what you've seen in the news and elsewhere is probably a little bit overstated, and unless you've actually been here to see it for yourself and you've rendered your own opinion as to whether or not Portland is a livable place, Portland still is a great place, or it's just completely gone downhill. Again, I think most people will come to find that a lot of these issues are a little bit overstated. Yes, they exist. Are they everywhere? No. And two, Portland itself, Portland proper, really doesn't nearly represent the whole of the Portland metro area and kind of this greater Portland area that has such a diverse landscape as far as larger towns, bigger towns, smaller towns, suburbs, a lot of different things to offer. And again, I'm biased, of course, but I'm not here to give you some artificially rosy outlook. Now, again, these are things that people bring up to us a lot because we are consulting people on different areas in Portland, in the Portland metro area, that they should be focused on, areas that are going to suit their lifestyles, their needs, their wants, their priorities the best. And I think it's best to explain a lot of these things in this format through the context of my own experience as a Portland native and somebody who, hasn't always been, but is nowadays a real estate professional. So, these are things that we're dealing very close with, and these are some touchy subjects, obviously. So here are some of the reasons why I haven't left Portland and really don't ever intend to. Now, number one on the list is Portland has a relatively agnostic culture. I mean, yes, you're going to see yard signs signaling political beliefs just about everywhere you go, but unless you're really seeking it out, it's not like everywhere you go, you're going to be engaged in some political discourse or debate. In my experience, people really don't care that much if you're a part of a church or if you're a part of Antifa. There's largely a live and let live mentality here that creates an environment where people can just be themselves. And there's not one identity here. There's not one narrowly defined lifestyle that everybody is expected to adhere to. Really, my favorite part about Portland is that you can kind of experience and dip your toe into many different cultures and lifestyles without fear of judgment. And in my experience, it's really always kind of been this way. And I'll probably touch on this more a little bit later. Now, number two on the list, I know it's a little bit cliche to say that it's green, it's beautiful, but guess what? It is. In Oregon and in the Portland metro area, we are blessed with unrivaled beauty. I mean, the Oregon coast is an hour west, the mountain is an hour east, the high desert 2 to 3 hours to the east. You have wine country at your doorstep. We have rivers, lakes, peaks, and valleys, and 4 distinctly beautiful seasons that keep things fresh and interesting throughout the year. I mean, I could go on and on about this, but the point is, regardless of the issues in Portland, either how understated or how bad it actually is, none of that affects what you get to experience every day when you step out your front door. It's really easy to take it all for granted, honestly, and I've really taken note and taken notice that so many of the clients that we work with, in fact, just about everybody that we work with, when they come to Oregon and we start touring houses, we start looking around, all of them say in one way or another, man, I can't believe how beautiful this is. Like, I saw the pictures or I've been here before, but, this is just so incredible. And, that really leaves an impression on me to not take it for granted because, when you're surrounded by this every day, it's easy to do so. All right, next on the list is it's laid back. And this is kind of back to the cultural piece. I mean, this is not San Francisco. This is not LA. It's not bustling like these, major metro areas on the West Coast, even Seattle to some degree. Portland is much more laid back. Portland has a rich blue-collar history with manufacturing and agriculture and timber. And although, it is developing more and more in the past couple of decades as a real tech hub, but Portland has never been like this, financial center, this finance boomtown or anything like that. Portland is full of solopreneurs and people who create businesses out of their hobbies. And there's a ton of people that work in the food and beverage industry and the service industry. And I think overall in Portland, you don't really feel a need to be showy or flashy. There's less cultural pressure to kind of put on airs. And although hipster culture is definitely influential and definitely, kind of an undercurrent of a lot of different cultures and lifestyles throughout Portland, I mean, it's hard to get away from. I mean, just look at me. I've got the little mustache and, I've got the flannel on that I may or may not have gotten from a thrift store. No, only kidding. But the point being is that in Portland, I think you're going to find that the culture overall is very laid back. Again, there's not a ton of societal pressure, to, again, show off or be really flashy. I think you'll find that most people in Portland are really pretty humble. All right, next on the list is the food and the beverage. Portland was just ranked the top foodie city in the country. I think this is definitely something that I probably take more and more for granted. It's a little harder for me to get out these days, with young kids and everything, but I'm always surprised about how many options there are, and not just abundance of really great restaurants, but how much variety there is. There are endless options in what seems to be dozens of categories and genres of food. And there are plenty of options too that are going to be a little bit more affordable too, from food carts, but also a lot of brick and mortar restaurants that really aren't too pricey. A lot of this great food culture in Portland doesn't really revolve around nice, fancy sit-down restaurants. A lot of these places you're going to be able to get a really great meal. We're talking locally sourced, potentially award-winning food for $15, maybe up to $25 per person. Now, maybe food isn't reason enough to look past a lot of the big issues that we have here in Portland, but it's definitely an added bonus. All right, next on the list, this kind of going back to the beauty and the aesthetic of the area, both Portland proper, Portland itself, and the surrounding area and the suburbs, it really has a unique makeup overall as far as all of the different elevation changes and curved streets, winding streets, tree-lined streets. I think, and maybe I'm alone on this, but Portland seems to me to be a lot less cookie cutter than a lot of different places around the country that I've been to. And again, I think a lot of the elevation changes make for an area that has to have, winding streets and things like that. It can't just be all laid out on a grid like you see in a lot of places, in particular in a lot of suburbs, right? You see really big sprawls of land that are just all set on a grid. And again, it feels a little bit more cookie cutter. Well, in Portland, you're not going to get that really much at all. Definitely not on the west side, a little bit on the east side, but a lot of the area on the east side that is set out on a grid like that is going to be these older neighborhoods, some of the original residential developments in Portland, in southeast Portland and northeast Portland, which is really steeped with history. A lot of great areas, a lot of great cool neighborhoods to hang out in. These are really popular areas to live too. So, even though these are laid out on a grid, there's much more character in areas like in southeast and northeast Portland than you get in some more newer housing developments around the country that really lack, some character and lack a little bit of soul there. I mean, yes, a lot of the suburban areas have a higher volume of like strip malls and things like that, but I feel like in most suburbs of Portland, most anywhere you would be in the Portland metro area, you're not really going to feel like you're buried in suburbia. Now, all of these areas from Portland proper to all of the surrounding suburbs that make up the metro area, you have a ton of great parks as well. So you get to enjoy this environment, not just driving down the road, but you're able to walk out your front door, walk to a park. Typically anywhere you would live, you would be maybe at most 10 minutes walking distance to a park. And we have some of the best parks in the country. Of course, with the exception of those that maybe feel a little more unsafe these days. So again, there are a lot of issues in Portland. I think the city is slowly working to address them, but again, I'm not here to make any kind of political statement or talk about the city government even, as far as what they're doing, what they're not doing necessarily. This is all just from my perspective. Now, amidst rising tension with seemingly insurmountable issues, it's always been my opinion that, you can flee the scene, which of course many people have, and really I don't blame them. People are gonna make their, the best decisions for them. Or you can stick around long enough to be able to participate in the solution. Many conversations about Portland nowadays, unfortunately, end in, well, there's really only one direction we can go from here, and clearly that's up. But when you talk about this in the context of just, Portland versus the entire metro area, again, Portland itself, Portland proper, is not representative of the entire metro area, and you're going to be able to get a lot of variety where if you want to be able to access Portland, you can be in a lot of areas that are 10, 15, 20-minute drives into downtown Portland, so you can get to the sporting events, get to the great restaurants, things like that, but you don't necessarily have to live in the city to experience this. And a lot of people do look to the suburbs right out of the gate anyway, because that's going to suit their needs best. So much of what Portland has gone through, especially in recent years, has been incredibly sad to see. And I sympathize with those who are living in areas in particular that are more affected, and they're really up against these issues on a day-to-day basis. And it's much easier said than done to say, hey, just pick up and move to another part of town, because a lot of these people live in areas, in some of the more affected areas, they have roots in these areas. This is maybe where they were born and raised. They have friends and family here. Maybe it's near their work. So it's not so easy just to say, hey, get up and leave. These folks don't want to be pushed out of their homes, pushed out of the areas that they live because of street camping and homelessness and open drug use in some cases, and a lot of the things that have been going on that the city hasn't necessarily been able to address adequately. But if you're moving to Portland from out of the area or out of state, like so many of the people that that we work with are, you have the ability to evaluate this from a little bit of a different lens. You know, you can look at all of the options in the entire metro area that are presented to you and narrow it down from there. And that's really where we come in. There's trade-offs with everything, you know, whether you want to be living closer into the city or further away from the city, and everybody's priority is different as far as what they need and what they're looking for. I think really the point of this video is that despite what you might read online or hear through the grapevine, there are over 2.5 million people living their lives here, and yes, some people actually enjoy it. If you're still watching this video, there's a good chance that you're considering relocating to the area, or you for sure are relocating to the area, and I'm here to tell you as a lifelong Portlander that there are still so many redeeming qualities about living here. No, it's not burning to the ground. Yes, there are a lot of issues that the city of Portland is working through, but how bad are they? Anywhere from not quite as bad as it may seem to it really just depends on where you live. Portland proper, where a lot of these issues that you hear about are located, is 145 square miles. Now the Portland metro area is 6,600 square miles, if that gives you any kind of context. So there's going to be options for you. And if you are considering moving to the Portland area, make sure to give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. We can talk about different areas that are going to be a best fit for you. We can talk about your timeline and your budget, and again, specifically what areas you should be focused on, and we can be off and running from there. So I really hope this video was helpful. I hope this provides a little bit of context around some of the things that you hear in the news. And if it was helpful, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to get more videos like this, and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. We really appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.